schools should be talking about practical solutions to manage one's waste. It shouldn't, because yes, all of this leads to climate. I mean, schools are talking about climate change and, the polar caps melting and all of that. Yes, all of that is a side effect of not managing one's waste, or, just like, air emissions and things like that. But what can a child in their own homes, what can a child do in their own homes to solve this problem? That is what the schools should be talking about.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Learn and Unlearn podcast. In today's episode, I am talking to Archana Prasad Kashyap, the co-author of Trashonomics, a simple guide on waste management for children. Waste management is an important topic and needs to be on every school's curriculum. Let's hear more from Archana. Welcome, Archana. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Trashonomics is a very creative name. How did it all start?
Yes. So I'll come to why the name. But before why the project started, let me just give you a little bit of a background. I work for a non-profit trust called the Anonymous Indian Charitable Trust, which was constituted almost a decade ago, in 2007 actually. And the idea was to work on environmental issues. We formed, the Anonymous Indian formed an organization called the Solid Waste Management Roundtable, which was basically a whole bunch of citizen activists coming together to figure out what to do with Bangalore's crazy garbage problem. We had landfills everywhere. We still do have it. It's not like we've solved all those issues. But the idea was to, push for several policies that the municipality could actually start implementing to tackle this huge solid waste problem. So, we started campaigns. We, in fact, filed a public interest litigation in the court against the citizens of Bangalore, against the municipality, against the Pollution Control Board, to actually come up with various solutions to tackle the problem. We did a lot, and then we realized that we are missing one essential. The most important thing is the whole awareness part of it. We found that adults were completely desensitized to the garbage problem. If we could have litter, we could have trash right in front of our roads, people would just walk past. It was just not shocking. We had people living near landfills. Again, that was just not shocking enough. So people were completely desensitized to garbage. And then we thought, this is something the waste management, protection of the environment, all of that should be something that is taught in schools. So we came up with a program called Trashonomics, which is basically a trash and economics put together. And this was a word that was coined by a friend of mine, Meera. And we decided to create a school program to sensitize every child on waste management even before they graduate from school. So the idea was that no child comes out of school not knowing how to manage waste. And that is how this whole thing started. It was basically to sensitize children on the problems of waste and how each child can actually manage their own waste in a very practical, simple and practical way of teaching.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What are the chapters covered as part of Trashonomics, or what topics are covered as part of Trashonomics?
Yeah, so the first module that we actually created is specifically for solid waste management. And the idea was to create a simple booklet along with various activities that we would do. So the first booklet was for solid waste management, has 5 chapters. It starts off by talking about the problems of mismanagement of solid waste, which is garbage. We talk about littering, we talk about landfills, we talk about burning of garbage, the hazards that it causes even to our waste workers and all of that. The second chapter talks about how each one of us should be sorting our waste at home. We talk about the three basic types of waste: the recyclable waste, the organic waste, and then, of course, the uh, reject waste or domestic hazardous waste, sanitary waste and things like that. So we talk about how each child should have two bins and one bag at home, and very simple act of putting the right type of waste in the right type of bin can solve this huge problem. The third chapter, we talk about organic waste and how organic waste can, in fact, be managed at home. So 60% of the waste that we generate is organic waste. And if each one of us manage that at home, by composting our waste, the municipality doesn't have to deal with 60% of the city's waste. Then the fourth chapter, we talk about recyclable waste and what happens to recyclable waste once it leaves our home. We talk about the dry waste collection centers, and Bangalore was one of the first cities to mandate a dry waste collection center in every ward. So we talk to the children about dry waste collection centers. And here in fact, every chapter has activities that we do with the students. So one of the activity for recyclable waste is to actually have children get recyclable waste from home and further sort it to simulate what actually happens at a dry waste collection center. So this way, people will think twice before they dump a dirty chutney packet into their dry waste bin. Then the final chapter, we actually talk about reducing waste. Because that we feel is the most important thing. I mean, our lifestyle of this use and throw lifestyle that we have, how we have alternatives to all of these disposable materials. Like instead of taking a disposable bag, take your own bag for shopping. Instead of using a disposable straw, take your own steel straw, just drink out of a cup. We don't really need straws unless you have some physical disability or any such thing. So we teach the students about the alternatives to disposable materials. So these are the 5 basic chapters that we cover, and we cover it in a workshop format. So we do these workshops with students. Usually it's a 3-day workshop that we do with them. We also train teachers so that they can actually take it forward in schools. So this is the basic Trashonomics solid waste management module.
That's great. And we hope that children go and pass this message to their parents.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So in fact, one of the activities that we have for the students is for them to go and test their parents on whether they know how to actually sort their waste. Because there is, the government has put out several awareness messages about wet and dry waste, but still wet and dry is a very confusing term. We've had wet milk packets in our recyclable bags, and we've had or in our green bins, which are meant for only organic waste, and we've had dry bread in our recyclable bags. So we might think that everybody should know how to sort their waste by now, but that's not the case, and we're hoping that through the children they can actually teach their guardians and parents.
True. And I feel there is also a lot of mentality shift that is needed.
Absolutely.
As you mentioned, there seems to be a kind of apathy or indifference towards garbage.
Yes.
That needs to go.
Yes, absolutely. So right now, like I said, the people are completely desensitized to waste. They don't think twice before littering. They don't think twice before dumping everything into one plastic bag and chucking it into a stormwater drain. We've seen so much trash just in the oceans. I mean, if you visit any of the beaches, the oceans are throwing trash back on the beaches. And even that, people don't seem to care. And what we want is for the children to actually care. And what we want is for it to become the norm to manage waste. Right now, the norm is to chuck waste wherever, it, it should be shocking for the children when somebody chucks waste wherever they feel like, and not managing waste. The normal should become that a child will actually carry that chips packet with them until they actually find the right bin. The normal should become that every child should have in their homes 3 dustbins or 2 bins and a bag to sort their waste correctly. The normal should become that every child carries their own bag while they're shopping, or refuses disposable single-use disposables. So that should become the normal, is what we are looking uh, to do. Because right now the normal is buy as much as you want, throw as much as you want, throw however you want, litter wherever you want. So we don't want that to be the normal. We're not expecting every child to become an activist, but we're expecting every child to make it a habit to manage their waste properly. Just like how we teach our children to brush their teeth on a daily basis, managing waste should become as simple as that. They don't have to think about it too much. Oh, I have a chips packet in my hand. I will make sure I take it home and put it into the correct bag. I have leftover food. I will make sure that I empty this leftover food into the correct green bin. So that should become the norm. That is what we're hoping for.
Right. There are people cleaning up beaches and plogging as well. I hope I got the right word.
Yes.
That will not help unless waste management is taken care of.
Absolutely. Yeah, cleanup is the solution that comes once we've managed the waste. Otherwise, you clean up one day, the next day again people are dumping. So a one-time cleanup is never enough. We have to learn to manage our waste, make sure that we don't throw trash on the beaches, don't throw trash into the oceans. We have to make sure that our organic waste is taken care of, which is, like I said, 60 to 70% of the waste that is coming in India is organic waste. It can be composted, it can be turned into biogas. Our country, we are energy deficient. With organic waste, we can produce energy in the form of biogas. And our recyclable waste, of course, we have a huge industry, even though it's an informal industry, but a lot of recycling happens in India. But the problem is the collection. If every individual did their part of keeping our recyclables clean and dry and giving it to the right, dry waste collection center, more recycling can happen. And then the bottom line is, of course, reduce our waste. That is, we have to do that. Right now, we're generating more than we can recycle. And so, reducing waste, like what our grandparents did, take our own dabbas, take our own water bottles.
Right.
That lifestyle needs to come back. Not go empty-handed and pick up a plastic bottle for water and a plastic spoon to eat somewhere, and use it once and throw it away. That is not what we want. There's just too much trash out there for us to even recycle. So the first step is definitely to be reducing our waste.
Absolutely. How has been the response from BBMP on this? Because I can give you an example. A couple of months ago, we had called BBMP saying there is trash there is a lot of garbage in our street.
Yeah.
Their response was, is it outside your house? We said no. Then why are you complaining? That's the kind of response.
Yes. Yes. No, BBMP is definitely overwhelmed. And unless more and more citizens like you call BBMP and say that there is a problem, not much is going to be done. So you were worried about trash being in front of somebody else's home. We know we need more people. The person whose house the trash is actually in front of, that person also should be calling BBMP. And that is our goal, to have more people be shocked about the trash. not too many people care. So that is the reason we started Trashonomics, because we want the children. Children are so receptive to all of this. They don't have that cynicism that adults have. Adults think that, what, nothing can be done. But children are not like that. They're very enthusiastic. In fact, so we also have, one of the activities is to actually write a letter to the chief minister, write a letter to the municipality, the commissioner, BBMP commissioner, write a letter to the mayor. So we even talk about local governance, and how local governance can help with managing waste. So children are enthusiastic to write. How many adults actually even know who the BBMP commissioner is? How many adults even know who the mayor is? So what we want is for these children to become active citizens. That when they do grow up, that they will be the ones calling BBMP, complaining to BBMP, and you never know, these are the children who will become BBMP eventually, right? They will be part of BBMP. They'll be doctors, engineers, IAS officers, leaders. And by the time they become adults, our idea is that they should already have that in their minds, that waste is not something that should just be thrown away.
Very true.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for expansion or diversification?
Yes.
In the future?
Like I said, we started off with the solid waste management module. In February of last year, we released the wastewater management module. Because wastewater is another thing that not many people even think about. Bangalore, where I live, is an example of how overnight a Gram Panchayat turned into a city, and there is no basic infrastructure to manage even wastewater. And our beautiful Belandur lake is frothing over. So wastewater is such an important topic. And here, we talk about water shortage. And unless we manage our wastewater, there will always be a water shortage. So wastewater is one module that we have started. Eventually, we also want to talk about emissions and air, waste in the air. So when we talk about waste, it is not just garbage. We're talking about solid waste, wastewater, and also now our idea next is to actually talk about emissions as well. I mean, we have large IT parks, all of them attached with diesel generators, spewing out black smoke. And, we're all living in these ivory towers, is what I feel. But outside, if you look at it, we're spewing black smoke into the air without even thinking twice about it. So our idea is, yes, to create these various modules that hopefully the children, by the time they're adults, will be better equipped to handle these problems and not generate it in the first place.
Yes. Yeah, and then when you mentioned about Bangalore's lakes, right?
Yes.
Bangalore is at an altitude, and our ancestors had created a lot of lakes. I think a lot of lakes are man-made, so that we don't face water shortage.
Right.
And yeah, it appears that after South Africa, Bangalore might be the next city facing severe water shortage.
Yes. Yes.
So unless we preserve our lakes and keep them clean,
yes,
we might land up in trouble.
Yes, and it again boils down to recycling. There is a whole reason why everything in this universe is in a circular format. I'm getting a little philosophical because I think what goes around comes around. That is what I truly believe. I mean, here we're very happily just dumping our garbage, dumping effluents into the lake, but all of that needs to come back to us, right? I mean, where are we getting the water from? So it's quite funny when some of my friends are all our solid waste management activists. We were standing at one particular area looking to see who is dumping in that spot. And what we found is trucks and trucks of garbage being dumped in that area, coming in and dumping in that area. And then trucks and trucks of water tankers leaving from that area. So we are getting our water where we're dumping our trash, and we don't even think about it. So unless we protect our environment, we are all in deep trouble.
Yes. And there are areas like RR Nagar where the Rishbhavati river flows.
Yeah.
I've heard a friend who mentioned that the groundwater actually stinks there.
Yeah. No, it's very
So, as you
bad.
said, yes, what goes around comes around.
Yes. Unfortunately, our waste gets dumped in another gram panchayat somewhere, and the people of that gram panchayat are actually suffering because of our trash. But eventually, they will stop that, and they'll say, "No, you keep your own trash." So our trash is going to be very close to our water sources. And people need to really think about that, because we've actually seen the groundwater black in color because of the landfill. I mean, if you go to landfills like Mandur is not a landfill. Mandur is a gram panchayat where Bangalore's waste was getting dumped. And if you look at that groundwater, it is so contaminated. The children over there have infections. People over there cannot keep their windows open because of the insects of this coming from the landfills. So it's an immediate problem for a lot of these people. We in our fancy apartments may not see it right away, but eventually we will have no more land to dump.
Very true. So, the last question I had is this is from the adult's perspective.
Yeah.
For, let's say, composting, it might be a lot of work. Or who would do all this? I don't have time to segregate my garbage. What would be your thought on such a mentality?
Yeah, see, that is the reason I'm saying children. Because we saw all of these problems. It is so difficult to just throw my waste in the right bin. Oh, it's so difficult. So, one good thing is it is the law now. You cannot even say that it is difficult. The basic, bare minimum that every citizen should be doing is to sort their waste into those three categories. Composting is the next step. And we feel that if we teach our children that composting is not a dirty thing to do, is not a difficult thing to do, so hopefully by the time they're adults, we'll have a lot more adults who are composting and managing their organic waste. And composting is not just about managing organic waste, right? I mean, that compost can again be used in your own garden to grow vegetables and fruits. And, I think the next skill that children should be learning is to grow their own food. So our idea is catch them young, brainwash them into thinking composting is such a fun activity so that we don't have any adults saying that, oh my God, I have no idea how to compost, or I don't know how to sort my waste, or any such thing.
Right. Thanks a lot, Archana. This has been a wonderful conversation. And I really hope Trashonomic makes a difference. It is a much needed topic.
Yes. So I would hope people who are listening actually push their schools to adopt a subject like Trashonomics. I mean, even if it's not the same exact thing, but schools should be talking about practical solutions to manage one's waste. It shouldn't, because yes, all of this leads to climate. I mean, schools are talking about climate change and, the polar caps melting and all of that. Yes, all of that is a side effect of not managing one's waste, or, just like, air emissions and things like that. But what can a child in their own homes, what can a child do in their own homes to solve this problem? That is what the schools should be talking about. Because if you talk to a child about the polar caps melting, and the first question they are going to be that, how am I going to make a difference? Me as a child, how can I stop that from happening? Right? I mean, it sounds like a huge problem, not meant for a child. Well, actually, that is true. I mean, our leaders should be doing a lot more and all of that. that what should the child be doing in their own homes to manage waste is what the schools should be teaching. So if you have your child in a school, please push your school to teach them that.
Sure, Archana. Thanks a lot again.
Sure. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for listening. Please share this with teachers, parents, children, and educational institutions. And let's ensure that every child learns about waste management. I have provided all the details in the description section. I'm signing off for now. Let's meet in the next episode.